Hello, and welcome to the lore of Braunhaven. We are going to continue our journey to or up the Eastern Tradeway, and we have come to the Dwarven capital city of Zolotoheim. So a lot of people will say that Zolotoheim is at the end of the Eastern Tradeway, but this isn't actually true. The Eastern Tradeway does continue on past Zolotoheim into the capital city, or into the country of Stagina to Stagina's capital city of Olasveller. And but most of the trade caravans stop at Zolotoheim. Most of the trade that does come up from Olasveller is from Stagina itself, and they kind of do that stretch between Olasveller and Zolotoheim. The dwarves also sometimes send trade caravans down to Olasveller as well. But most of the Ereboshian trade caravans, or even the trade caravans from the Glossian Empire, stop at Zolotoheim. So it is a common misconception that Zolotoheim is the capstone or the end of the Eastern Tradeway. Zolotoheim is the oldest dwarven settlement in the Braunhaven region, and possibly, it is said, possibly in the entire known world. All of the dwarven clans throughout the continent of Zandamar can claim some kind of lineage that goes back to the founding of Zolotoheim itself. And this city has stood here for 2,800 years, and it has become the largest market of gems and rare ores for the surface world in the northern reaches of Zandamar. It is currently under the rule of King Kamin'Ston of Clanston, and Zolotoheim, his stance on world politics is rather stoic. He just doesn't see that there's that much of a threat brewing in the Glossian Empire with the current emperor Belution Cestus. He thinks that is human affairs and that it will pass, and that he's not going to take a stance one way or other in the affairs of humans, and the dwarves are just going to stay the course as they always had, and the humans can work out their own problems. But the reality is that if Belution Cestus could, he would take Zolotoheim in a heartbeat. But the Skellis Mountains being what they are, and the people of the Skellis Mountains being what they are, has prevented his caravans, or even the small amounts of troops that he has sent into the Skellis Mountains. The terrain itself has kind of defended Zolotoheim, and so the dwarves haven't really had to defend themselves against the Glossian Empire, but that day could be coming in the future. So Zolotoheim sits on the tallest peaks of the Skellis mountain range, and it's simply not easy to get to, even with the Eastern Tradeway. The dwarves have maintained their marble brick road going from Zolotoheim all the way down to the Barbarous Trade Bridge, just to the west of the town of Braunhaven. And of course, the dwarves have made a deal with the gnomes of the region to install a gas pipeline along most of the Eastern Tradeway, and they have this ingenious invention of these gas lamps that they light every day at dusk, and they are lit until dawn. And there is a master switch in the city of Zolotoheim that when they turn this on, all of those lamps along all the way down to the Barbarous Trade Bridge, all of these lamps all self-ignite and are lit so that people can find their way in the dark. And usually, even in inclement weather, there are times where, normally they'll be lit from dusk until dawn, but there are times in cases of like blizzards or inclement weather If the dwarves are aware that some section is having problems, they will light those during the day so that people that are on the tradeway can find their way. Because even on the road, it can be treacherous travel. Generally, so one of the benefits of using the road as opposed to going over land is that you can move, generally, these hexes on this particular map are 12 miles. So you can move 2 of these a day if you are on the road. I mean, otherwise there wouldn't be a benefit to using a road, aside from the fact that you wouldn't get lost. But even in inclement weather, a blizzard or even fog, that can be difficult even with a road. And so they will light these road lamps so that people can see and easily find, or hopefully find their way along the road. The the Eastern Tradeway past Stromvold actually passes through several tunnels where the dwarves have just mined the road directly through the mountainside or through mountain glaciers, things of that nature. And so it is a very steep incline, even with the road. And so sections of the road, I suppose, there are sections that have like stairways that are made of marble stairs on the sides. So if you're walking, you can more easily traverse. But there is, of course, still that steep road. So because the wagons, of course, can't go up and down stairs. Along this road, and especially inside the tunnels, there are small wayside areas where travelers can set up camp for the night. And or there are small roadside shrines. Usually these shrines are dedicated to the god Montes, the Mountain Father. He is pretty much the big cheese as far as gods go of the Dwarven pantheon, and pretty much everything under him, all of the gods under Montes are for the Dwarven pantheon are considered minor gods. But I mean, a minor god is still they're still a god, so they still wield a lot of power. But Montes is kind of the head honcho for the Dwarven pantheon, and so these small waysides will have shrines to Montes, and a lot of most of them will have an iron lockbox that you can drop some coins in, and these coins are directly used to maintain the Eastern Tradeway or the gas lamp system, things of that nature. But I mean, the donations from those lockboxes are a drop in the bucket compared to what the cost of this is, and the Kamin'Ston of Zolotoheim has pretty much funded all of they have shouldered the bulk of the costs for repairs and maintenance on the Eastern Tradeway from Zolotoheim down to the Barbarous Tradeway, and so, or excuse me, Barbarous Trade Bridge, and so they have. I mean, yes, these lock boxes that they say that that's where they go to, but it is pretty well known that that would be like pouring a cup of water into the ocean and expecting the water level to rise. The clan actually covers most of those costs. Zolotoheim itself has kept most of its wealth internally, and the people that live in the capital city of Zolotoheim enjoy a 15% yearly tax rate, and this is compared to the Galatian Empire that is charging a 33% tax rate of all assets every quarter. And so a lot of people have wondered, well, that seems like an incredibly small amount, and if that's the case, then why doesn't everybody in the Galatian Empire pack up and move to Zolotoheim? And that's a very good question. There are 2 answers to that. The first being that the city of Zolotoheim is underground in a mountain, and because it is in a mountain, a lot of people aren't going to enjoy waking up every morning, looking up and seeing a cavern rooftop over their heads, along with smoke from the forges and things of that nature. There's that to deal with. The second reason is that King Kamin'Ston has a fairly strict immigration policy. So any merchant or trade caravan that comes to the capital city of Zolotoheim pays a small tax upon entering. Usually this is anywhere from 1 to 5 sesterces to enter the city. And uh, dwarves being what they are, and we'll get to that in a moment, but they are very honorable, and so you can expect to actually pay what is the rightful amount to enter the city and not have to grease the palms of the guards at the doors. They that would be dishonorable, and much shame would come on them and their family. So you don't have to worry about bribery or anything like that to get in. And once you're in the city, the law of Zolotoheim is that you're able to stay as long as you want, but if you are not dwarvish, or if you're not a dwarf or a gnome, you cannot own property. So, yeah, you could stay in an inn. You potentially long term, and a lot of traders do. But you can never set up ties there. You can't plant roots. About the only exception to that rule is that the high elves of the Sylvanas Forest do have an embassy in Zolotoheim, and that's not really the same thing. They swap out even the members that live there, mostly because elves that are in the embassy really don't like being stuck underground, and they want to get back out into the surface world and to their beloved forests and nature. So those two things keep people from really packing up and moving to Zolotoheim, despite its fantastic tax rate, and this has kind of dissuaded other races from living there. Zolotoheim does so they are the big gem and ore merchant for the surface world, at least in this region. Um, but it's not. They are the really they're the only merchant powerhouse that delves underground. The other being Felsencleft, which is the capital city of the Duergar, and they are deep in the mythic underworld. Zolotoheim does maintain some trade with Felsencleft, but Felsencleft, being what they are, they pretty much, aside from Zolotoheim, they maintain their trade relations with other races of the mythic underworld, and they don't have a whole lot of interest in trade with surface dwellers. The Duergar view them as um, just not really worth their time. They don't really feel one way or the other about them. But the doors of Zolotoheim, of course, would tell you that Duergar cannot be trusted, and if you are entering into a deal, beware. So, they while they do have relations, so some of the stuff from Felsencleft, of course, can travel through Zolotoheim and make its way into the greater world, surface world, but there's not a whole lot of people that look for stuff from Felsencleft, because the items that come out of Zolotoheim uh, are both functional, being dwarves. They have a requirement for a stoic functionality about everything, but they also are artistically beautiful. Stuff from Felsencleft is not the same way. They are everything has to be functional, and it's not even a secondary trait for something to be aesthetically pleasing. As long as it works, that's good enough. And they might be a high quality item. They're just not going to be particularly pleasant to the eye. Their biggest competitor, of course, for ore and gems is Felsencleft. And Felsencleft, being deeper into the underworld, of course, has much easier access to some of this stuff, and so the dwarves of Zolotoheim don't have it as easy as the Duergar do. The Duergar, in a lot of cases, can be just going out for a walk in the underworld and be oh, hey, look, there's a whole bunch of gems in the wall. Let's just go ahead and mine these. And whereas the dwarves of Zolotoheim actually have to go looking for those particular veins of ore or gems. It is known that the ore and gems that come from Zolotoheim itself are of an exceptional quality and purity compared to stuff that comes from Felsencleft deeper in the underworld. And this is simply because the clans of Zolotoheim, like I said, they have to go searching for it, and they are very diligent. They want the highest quality, and so they don't take anything easily. The Skelos Mountains has an abundance of electrum veins throughout it, and it is because of this that the Ellsworth has become the official coin of Zolotoheim. You will find more Ellsworths in Zolotoheim than anywhere else, and they generally use the Ellsworth as their primary currency. As I said, it is their official coin. There are two gold pieces to every Ellsworth. So, or I'm sorry, there's two Ellsworths to every gold piece. So Electrum's not worth quite as much as gold, but it's worth more than silver, and so the dwarves are fine with that. It can lead to some very strange situations where, you know, they'll ask for nearly twice as many coins for something, and you know, people outsiders may get suddenly very concerned about how much the cost of living is in Zolotoheim. It's not. It's because they're asking for Ellsworths, not for gold pieces. The other major coin used in Zolotoheim, of course, is the trade coin. The platinum trade coin is used because that's where all of the trade caravans go, and they're going to use the trade coin platinum piece because they're buying large numbers or large numbers of items or items in bulk. And it makes more sense to use the platinum coin. The platinum is quite plentiful in the region as well. Usually they'll find smaller veins of platinum running alongside a major electrum vein. So um, you know, the trade coin is commonly used here, although this isn't necessarily the source of where it's coming from, like it is for the Ellsworth. The Ellsworth obviously is coming from the Skelos Mountains. So on Thursday, we will be looking at Zolotoheim itself inside and be getting to know King Kamin'Ston of the Clanston and learn a little bit about what it is to be a dwarf and learn about his attitude towards the surface world. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on the Lore of Braunhaven.